Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the New Japan Save. I said a couple of videos ago that I was gonna do kind of two Ring of Honor videos, then two New Japan videos. And if you click on the channel and scroll through past videos, you can see that I wasn't in keeping with that promise. Ultimately, we're in the thick of a tournament when it comes to this save. So I figured, let's just bang it out. Let's get the tournament finished. Let's get the storylines rolling. We're not really too storyline heavy at the moment because of the tournament, which is kind of it's kind of grinding on my gears because I have so many storylines that I want to get started, but it's hard to because of what's going on. I have obviously the Chaos versus Bullet Club thing. I have the Will Ospreay heel turn. I've mentioned the inevitable clash between Evil and Sonata. I've introduced in the last video the Roppongi represent versus Suzuki-gun faction warfare. There are and the Kenta storyline with what would have been Shibata is now Shotaro Ashino. There are storylines there, but I have more planned that I just haven't been able to get started yet. When we're back to normal tour dates and there's no tournament involved and we're just focusing on storylines, that's when the bulk of the movement with the roster is gonna happen. But for now, we're gonna try and get the tournament done. I am still hoping to get back to the Ring of Honor videos. That was our debut series. I'm very invested in that. Just not as invested as I currently am with the New Japan Cup. But with that out of the way, we're back to the New Japan save. We're back to New Japan Cup action. We took a break last video to have that huge match between Jericho and Naito. Oddly placed, I know, but we had nothing on, and I couldn't field a show with no New Japan Cup stuff, with nothing to kind of draw in the crowd. So I figured we'll have a major match. We'll have Naito show his face. We'll have Naito defend his titles against a big star, obviously Chris Jericho. And they put on a banging match. We put on a banging show. I was very happy with it. But we are back to the usual shows. Oddly enough, I've loaded into. You might notice I've loaded into the news section, news spot, simply because it popped up and I was like, "This is cute." We've got the St. Patrick's Day kind of backdrop. I wasn't expecting this. Obviously isn't the normal backdrop we have. It must be coded into the game that for major events we have a special backdrop. So I just there's no reason, there's no significance to this, but I just thought that's really cool. We get little special festive backdrops. I am just waffling, but like I found that really cool. In terms of admin stuff, we have nothing. We've got no upgrades to New Japan World because we don't have the money for it. We have no backstage drama because we fired Shibata. What I have done is I noticed in the booking of the last few shows that we were struggling with referees. We had a lot of notifications popping up saying this referee is being overworked because we only have Regis Ono and Marty Asami. So I figured we'll just find a random referee. Got Daichi Murayama written, not exclusive because it's not really needed. It's just to lighten the load of the other referees. There's nothing major, but that is the only kind of admin stuff that we have to say. A new referee just to lighten the load. People are still suffering with the morale issues. which isn't great. The whole Shibata issue really messed us up, but we're working through it. In terms of excursions, I may as well mention this because why not? We've got some guys out on excursions. Obviously, there's a New Japan. The Young Lions go out on excursions. Hirai Kawato, also known as Master Wato, is coming back in September. We've got plans for Kawato. Ones that don't involve that shitty Grandmaster gimmick. You might be a fan of the Grandmaster gimmick. I don't think there's many. It's an awful gimmick. I know he's not the most. As much as I love Kawato, he's very talented bloke. He's not the most charismatic. So giving him this whole Grandmaster gimmick just doesn't make sense. It would have made it just doesn't make sense to give him such a character focused gimmick. Silliness. But we get him back in September. At the same time, we get Tomoyuki Oka, who you might know. Can we click on him? It showed up. I was hoping his other profile photo would load so we could be like, guess who he becomes? He becomes the Great Okan. I'm not sure if we're gonna continue with him being Tomoyuki Yuka, or if we're gonna bring him in as the Great Okan. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big fan of the Great Okan gimmick. I feel like just bringing him in as himself would also be effective. But it all depends on how I'm feeling when he returns in a few months. We've got Leo Tonga, Shota Umino in September as well. That could be interesting because I believe John Moxley is still on our books then. I might be wrong. Ren Narita out until next year, March of next year. So we've got a while without him. And Leo Tonga out until September. Where is he at? I'm not sure. Rev Pro. I would have put money on it being Rev Pro, but I wasn't sure. But we'll get a bunch of people back in September, and then we'll begin building them. I'm not sure if they will come back and instantly get better ratings, or if we will bring them back and then we'll have to build them up again. It's something we'll have to learn, because if we bring, for example, Great Okan back and he's still getting like 20 rated matches, we're going to have to put him on the pre-show, and that whole excursion thing was pointless. But anyway, I've waffled on far too much, despite saying there wasn't too much admin-y stuff. Tonight, night 2 and night 3, night 8 and night 9 of the New Japan Cup. I'll stop talking, and we'll get into the action. Let's go. So we start proceedings with our usual pre-show matchups. This one, Theoman versus Brian Pillman Jr. Theoman getting the win in around 10 minutes. Both guys, they're not up to where I was expecting them to be. Obviously, Brian Pillman's already in the new Foundation faction. So that gives you an inkling that we have some ideas on what to do with him, or we have an idea on where he can go. This has been massively paused by results or performances like this. Theoman as well, we've got ideas for him, but if he continues to get 20s, it's not exactly good. I know you might think I'm being harsh. These guys are both, I believe, young lion status. At least we've been using them like young lions. But I just expected more from them. I know they're very new to a Japanese audience, and I do hope that their popularity is increasing a bit. It's just not great. It's not great to have both guys in the 20s, especially when I have kind of immediate plans for both of them. But The match got a 30. The wrestling was all right. It's the crowd. They're just not invested in these guys, and that's making the matches, as the game says, abysmal. But hopefully it'll come in time. Hopefully, I need to check on the. I need to go into each character in the roster page and just check out their popularity. Hopefully, it's increasing slowly but steadily, and hopefully by the end of the year we can get them performances up to even 40s. Would be great, but it'll come in time. The next match also with some projects. We have the kind of, they're not really affiliated with Chaos, but the kind of good guy Young Lions, Alex Coughlin and Carl Fredericks, taking on two British guys, two new signings, Luke Jacobs and Chris Ridgway. With Chris Ridgway getting the pinning Alex Coughlin with a Tiger Bomb in around 12 minutes. Carl Fredericks kicked ass. I believe this is our first time actually using him, and he actually done really well. All guys in the 30s. We've got Luke Jacobs in the 30s. I believe the last time he was out there, he was low 20s, or mid 20s at least. So pairing him with Ridgway paid off. I mentioned a couple of videos ago, it might have actually been last video, that we're going to have a veteran young lion kind of buddy system going on. And that's what you're seeing here. I know Alex Coughlin and Carl Fredericks are both young lions, but the other tag team, Luke Jacobs and Chris Ridgway, that is going to be our buddy system pairing for both guys. Chris Ridgway, I know it's weird because his ratings aren't really that high for us to consider him a vet, but compared to Luke Jacobs, who's 1 year into his career at this point, he definitely is, and he can definitely help Luke Jacobs. So Luke Jacobs, Chris Ridgway, a brand new tag team, a tag team we're going to run with, just to try and benefit both guys. But a 35 segment rating, a 35 wrestling rating, the crowd's getting there, but still not really invested. Terrible wrestling, it says. But I believe a 35 for these guys isn't too bad. A non-existent crowd heat, not surprising really, considering they're not really paying attention to any of these guys. But all four of these guys are projects of people I intend to work on to become something good. A 35 will take. The fact that all four guys are in the 30s, that's where we want everyone on the pre-show to be. Low to mid 30s, we're happy with. Which next match does perfectly. It says it doesn't have much heat and has terrible wrestling, but I'm happy with both of these scores, to be honest. Yuji Nagata taking on Yuya. I'm not going to pronounce his surname, just Yuya. Yuji Nagata obviously getting the win. It's probably strange to have Nagata on a pre-show, but in case it's not clear, I've done a similar thing with Tenzan and Gabe Kidd. This is going to be another buddy system. Uemura, I think I pronounced that correctly, and Nagata are going to be paired up together. Another vet and rookie pairing. And they put on the best match of the pre-show. I knew it was going to be the best match of the pre-show, carried massively by Nagata. But Uemura held as the end of the bargain. I kind of want to put Uemura and Carl Fredericks in a match and see what happens, because both of those guys have impressed me during the pre-show. Both of those guys are people that we can definitely plan for the future. Interesting. But that is all for the pre-show for this night. There's not much else to say. We've got some more buddy systems in place. We've got some more pairings in place, new tag teams involved. But without further ado, let's get into the main portion of the show. We open up the show on a tag team bout pitting the Suzuki-gun pairing of the Dangerous Tekkers. I need to save them as the Dangerous Tekkers in this game. Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi versus the buddy system of Gabe Kidd and Hiroyoshi Tenzan. Obviously, Suzuki-gun win. I believe Taichi gets the pin over, obviously, the young lion, Gabe Kidd. I've named them Kid Hero. I feel like it's a good tag team. Obviously, the Kid from Gabe Kidd, the Hiroshi, the hero from Hiroyoshi, sorry. And it gives it kind of like a, not to be too weeby, but a My Hero Academia kind of superhero feel to it. That might just be me, but whatever. They're making their name on the main show in a fairly good match, considering we have a young lion. Gabe Kidd, he didn't have a really great match with a 25 rating. He was really off his game, so the lights were maybe too bright. But overall, the segment didn't do too badly. Zack Sabre Jr. obviously carried. We had this being our technical matchup. Obviously, our technical matchup goes out on first, but Zack Sabre Jr.'s technical rating clearly helped that. Taichi was also off his game. He was really off his game with a 44, so he might be able to break into the 50s if he's on his game, or at least be high 40s. So, not too bad. Gabe Kidd was obviously the weak link. After the match, we go backstage and we are given another one of the kind of typical New Japan backstage promos in which Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. are being interviewed and they call out the current IWGP Tag Team Champs, Finjuice. On the last show, I think it was the last show, Zack Sabre Jr. pinned a Roppongi Represent member. I believe he pinned Yo in that kind of big 8-man tag team, sorry. So Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi are saying, we pin one of your boys, we have a win over your stable. So we think we are due some a tag team title shot. Kind of building, it says tag title storyline has advanced with the segment. It's not a very creative name. I must apologize. But yeah, Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. are challenging for the IWGP tag titles. A 46 rating's really bad, especially for this save. Zack Sabre Jr. was held by the language barrier, not speaking the same language as the fans. Now, you might know more than me, you probably do. I'm obviously young when it comes to TEW experience, so please let me know. Is it possible to get these people on language programs? Is it possible to teach them new languages? Because Zack Sabre Jr. we want to build around. Will Ospreay we want to build around. Even for the future, if Chris Ridgway sticks, we're going to want him to build around. But same with Luke Jacobs, same with maybe Aussie Open if they do well. But these guys are held back by the language barrier. So can we just learn them the language? I know we can go into the database and change their language settings, but I feel like that's cheating. Well, have a look in the roster settings and be like, hey, can you just take some Japanese lessons? But anyway, we're advancing the storyline. The tag team title holders, the champions, have been called out by the Suzuki-gun pairing. More on that later. In fact, later is coming right up because, oh, Jesus, what the fuck? I don't know what. In our worst match ever, when it's outside of the pre-show, we have Roppongi Represent versus Suzuki-gun. Roppongi represented by Sho, Yo, and Rocky. Roppongi 3K. taking on Shane Haste, Mikey Nichols, and Doki. And it sucked. It's an alright match, to be fair. A 48 is a fairly standard match. But I don't think we've ever had a match that isn't in the pre-show dip below the 40s. So that's very strange. Rocky Romero sustained a family death. The injury Rocky Romero worked through took a big toll. So was this guy just on his phone scrolling halfway through the match and gets a message saying, "Oh yeah, your nan's died"? What the fuck's up with that? Hold on. Dirt sheet. Physical condition, holding back, inconsistency, working injured. It's not an injury, his nan's died. That's so strange. I've never gotten that in a match before. That's a very strange injury. But and even still, he got a 42 rating. He wasn't awful. So I don't know why this match struggled so much. That's baffling. That it was probably oddly placed. This match maybe could have been on the pre-show, especially with that rating. But yeah, is Rocky Romero now going to be out of action for a couple of months? I feel like he should, because family grievance. R.I.P. Rocky Romero's nan. But it's very strange for it to affect the match. Yeah, I'm quite speechless. I don't really know what to say. Roppongi represent, get the win over Suzuki-gun. The faction warfare between those two factions is still continuing, and let's get away from this match as quickly as possible, because that's weird as fuck. Rocky Romero sustained a family death in this match. Sure. Doki got... Oh. What? So, okay, hold on. I know I was going to move on quickly, but apparently that's not happening. Doki got heat backstage following this match after injuring Rocky Romero with a botched move. So, Rocky Romero must have sustained a family death, which got him performing badly, and then he's also got injured in the match. It seems that way anyway, which is... Is Rocky Romero dead? Have we killed Rocky Romero? I'm really confused. Anyway, in the next match, if we've just killed Rocky Romero, the show should end. This video should be over. Anyway, sorry, I can't help but laugh because it's such a strange situation. I'm gonna have a minute. 2 seconds. Okay, I'm back and I'm slightly more composed. In our next match, we continue the ongoing beef between the two stables of Chaos and the Bullet Club, with Chaos represented by Toriano and Yoshihashi taking on Bad Luck Fale and Tamatonga, two kind of OGs when it comes to the Bullet Club. And the Bullet Club get another win. They definitely seem to have Chaos's number, with Tamatonga pinning Yoshihashi. Yoshihashi was the weakest link in a match also involving Bad Luck Fale. So, not the greatest. Tamatonga with a 58, definitely a surprising one. I don't think we had Tamatonga rated that highly, but it could definitely... I don't think I've got the Gorillas of Destiny in a tag match yet, so we're definitely going to have to do that at some point just to see how well they perform. But overall, decent match, decent crowd rating, getting that rating back up from the last match, which don't get me started. The Chaos versus Bullet Club is definitely in the thick of it right now, a basis for the majority of these shows. But not much else to be said about this. Just the Bullet Club yet again beating Chaos. And we go to the New Japan Cup with Minoru Suzuki taking on the junior heavyweight Bone Soldier Taiji Ishimori. Minoru Suzuki getting the win and advancing in the tournament, winning by submission with a sleeper hold in around 16 minutes. Minoru Suzuki with a 69, woohoo, and a Taiji Ishimori not having the best performance. Excuse me. I believe the last few times we've had Ishimori involved in the matches, he's done really well. I believe we got him in the 60s. So, 57 is still really good for our junior heavyweight division, which is kind of bare bones at the moment. But I was still expecting more from him. I shouldn't be complaining too much. Great heat, decent wrestling. The crowd are getting up there, 64. The wrestling is 63. Overall, a 63 is definitely going to help pick up the show after the Suzuki-gun Roppongi represent issue. But our main event of the night, in fact, we're not on our main event yet. We are, I was going to say main event, I was wrong. We have another, a promo. We have Naito. Obviously, he's coming off a big win against Jericho. He's in some kind of club. He's chill. He's got a nice suit on. He's got both belts on his shoulders. And he speaks kind of, I believe, for the first time. And he says, it doesn't matter who wins the New Japan Cup. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter who he has to go against at Sakura Genesis. Because that's when the New Japan Cup winner is going to take on Naito. He says that the fans and the Intercontinental title cost him so much. So after he beats the New Japan Cup winner at Genesis, he will throw the IC title belt in the bin, and he will no longer be double champion. It will just be the kind of heavyweight title, and the Intercontinental Championship will be no more. He's kind of coming off mafia bossy, or should I say, Yakuza bossy. We'll have, it doesn't say here because I didn't think about it at the time, but we'll have Sonata, Shingo, kind of playing bodyguard, being all big and tough and scary. But Naito is definitely kind of pushing his weight around a bit. He holds all the marbles, so he has every right to do so. But after what he went through with the fans turning on him years ago and his constant beef with the Intercontinental title, it kind of makes sense now that he holds both belts to say, fuck the fans, fuck the belt, I'm going to do what I want. And that's what we're playing into. But to see who he's facing, we first have to finish the tournament. And in our main event of the night, we have Tomohiro Ishii taking on Hiromu Takahashi, in which Ishii gets the win in around 20 minutes. He was visibly tiring towards the end, so we'd probably have to keep him at around 18 minutes. But a hell of a fucking match. Ishii and Takahashi were obviously going to tear the place down, but Takahashi outperformed Ishii. Maybe we picked the wrong winner here. That being said, whoever wins this match goes on to face, as we've seen in the last match, Minoru Suzuki. So having Takahashi, a heel, taking on Suzuki, a heel, kind of would have clashed. And we now in for another Ishii versus Suzuki match. But with performances like that, we definitely need to start thinking of stuff to do with Takahashi. Because obviously he was going to be great for us. But I wasn't expecting this great. Especially against heavyweights. I'm not sure if that's built into the game where junior heavyweights struggle against heavyweight. Clearly not, but I feel like it should be. Anyway, I'm being pedantic. A hell of a match, 72. The crowd are loving it, and the wrestling was good. So our two finalists are confirmed. We have on the left side of the tournament, Tomohiro Ishii taking on Minoru Suzuki in the semi-finals. The semi-finals of the New Japan Cup. Overall, the show was a 70. I believe that was really good, even considering the match halfway through, which I was really worried about. Increased our popularity in 8 regions. That's all of Europe, because Europe loves us. Everywhere else doesn't. We really need to start upgrading New Japan World, but it's very, very expensive to upgrade it. So, yeah, like I said in the last few videos, we're just going to have to get used to seeing all this red. But the shows are going down well. And, let's not waffle too much. I've spent a lot of the video waffling. Let's get into night 9 and the end of the quarterfinals of the New Japan Cup. The last 2 matches on the right side of the bracket. I know I usually go straight from one night into the next night in terms of shows, but the game's fucking weird. I thought the family death and the injury were 2 different things. No. Rocky Romero sustained a family death after a botched move from Doki at last night's New Japan Cup. It will take a few days to heal, but you shouldn't miss any dates from it. So, what this news or this mail item is letting us know that Doki just killed one of Rocky Romero. Doki killed Rocky Romero's nan. I know some goofy stuff can happen when it comes to TEW. I've seen on Reddit like plane crashes taking out half the fucking roster, but like this is obviously I feel like this is clearly a mistake because Doki's murdered this guy, or this woman. He's murdered Rocky. How has this happened? He's gone to hit him with his metal pipe, halfway through a match and missed and hit his nan. Like what? It's so weird. I feel like I had to bring it up because it's rather strange. But yeah, the way they phrased it in this mail info dump is quite strange, and I felt like it was worth putting in the video because humorous. But yeah, I'll stop talking about that, and we'll get back onto our regularly scheduled programming. And all the kind of fluff is out the way. We've established Doki as a murderer. Let's just continue. Night 9, the New Japan Cup Tour is coming to an end in the coming days. I will be recording the finals. Night 10 and the finals will be in the same video, so they'll all come at once. So soon, the New Japan Cup will be raised. But for now, night 9, starting things off in the pre-show, we've got Chris Bay versus Volador Jr. Volador Jr. is too good to be on the pre-show. Definitely something we need to keep in the back of our mind. We've got the best of the Super Juniors coming up. I believe we have the Sakura Genesis tour, and then it's best of the Super Juniors. I might be wrong. We might have a tour in between. But if that's the case, we definitely need to start collecting people to be involved in the Best of the Super Juniors tournament. Volador Jr. with performances like this one can definitely be a contender in that tournament. We've got a few surefire names that have to be in there. Your Hiromu Takahashi's, Taiji Ishimori, Shoyo, ELP maybe. I'm not sure about ELP. We need to use him more. But Volador Jr. could definitely be one of those names. Chris Bay has improved. He's got a 36. I'm not sure if that's because he was in the ring with a quality performer or not. But a fairly good match for a pre-show of 46. Almost as good as the Roppongi Represent Suzuki-gun match from last show. Let's continue before I start talking about it again. Doki is a murderer. We're definitely gonna have to play it. We're gonna have to do something. We're gonna have to change his character or something so that he's involved. Like it's part of canon. It's part of his gimmick or something because that's craziness. Anyway, next match in the pre-show, we've got Yota Tsuji taking on Alex Coughlin. Alex Coughlin getting the win in around 10 minutes, despite being really off his game. And despite being really off his game, he matched Yota Tsuji in terms of rating. I hope people actually comment on this video telling me if sending people on excursion actually helps people's ratings, because Yota Tsuji is one of them that definitely can, with 26s. I know he's very young in this moment, but getting him on an excursion, if it does help his rating, would be important, because 26 isn't good. It's not good. Alex Coughlin got 26, but he was off his game, so he's got an excuse. But Yota Tsuji just is struggling. He's far from the monster he would eventually become. Anyway, in the last match of the pre-show, this definitely should be the last match of the pre-show. The first match of our pre-show, the Volador Jr. Chris Bay match, should have went on last. But live and learn. We have Ross and Marshall, the Von Erich brothers, taking on the kind of, I don't have a name for them yet. If you think of a name, let me know. Luke Jacobs and Chris Ridgway, the kind of British connection duo. Luke Jacobs and Chris Ridgway got the win. Chris Ridgway getting the win, submitting Ross Von Erich with an Achilles lock. Luke Jacobs was really off his game with a 25. Chris Ridgway is almost breaking into the 40s. We just got to keep hammering away with them. And yeah, we also debuted our new referee, hence why it's saying gimmick changes. There's no gimmick changes. He's just a referee. He's just chilling. He also splits his time between us, Stardom, and Marvelous. But just to take, like I said at the start of the video, just to take the load off of the other referees. But Chris Ridgway getting the win. The Von Erichs doing really well. We could probably start bumping them up to the main show with performances like that. We'll keep them on the pre-show for now, keep them grinding away, and then bump them up when they are ready. But that is the end of the pre-show. Going out on a whimper, we definitely should have had the Volador Jr. match in the kind of pre-show main event. But it's in the past. Let's get into the bulk of the show. Let's go. And in another letdown of a match, we have Taiji Ishimori taking on Ryusuke Taguchi. Ishimori getting the win in around 15 minutes. It says good heat and subpar wrestling, but a 45 is definitely not what we need from these two guys that I would put a lot of faith in. Maybe it's because we had them in a technical matchup, which is not the way to go. But Ishimori getting the win with a 44, Taguchi with a 41. Both guys did not click at all. Not good because, like I said, the best of the Super Juniors is coming up. Both guys would probably be involved, and I was expecting 50s for both of them. So, yeah, it's not good. It's not a good way to start the show. We've had a few depressive performances lately in terms of matches. We've always had, like, obviously last show, we had that one match which was a lot worse than the other matches. This one seems to be similar. But, we just got to put them in the back of our mind. The majority of the show is going well. Hopefully, the majority of this show goes well. But Ishimori gets the win over Taguchi in a junior heavyweight scrap. And after the match, he kind of takes the mic in a backstage promo and says, yeah, he got knocked out of the New Japan Cup last show, or earlier on in this video, since we're watching in real time. But you know who else got knocked out in this round of the New Japan Cup? Hiromu Takahashi, the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. And Ishimori makes a valid point. He got the same as far as the champ did. He's next in line. He deserves the junior heavyweight title shot. He's just be a great junior heavyweight, and Ryunosuke Taguchi had an impressive showing in the New Japan Cup. So we're kind of building to an Ishimori Takahashi face-off at the tour's end. Moving on, we have GOD. I mentioned in the last show, we hadn't really had them performing as a tag team. This is our way of seeing how well they do against GBH. We kind of using GBH as a bit of a punching bag. We haven't got anything to do, like any plans for them. So we may as well just kind of have them pick up a few losses. But Tama Tonga pinning Tomoaki Honma with the Guerrilla Warfare. Tomoaki Honma was a weak link. He was a 42, the only guy in the 40s, but he was really off his game. Everyone else in the 50s. Togi Makabe can still fucking go. We might need to put Togi Makabe in maybe a never open weight slot instead of keeping him in this tag team. But GOD, both with fairly solid ratings. A very solid tag team, definitely someone we need to keep an eye on. But again, we're very, very much pushing the Bullet Club early on in this save. They've picked up a lot of wins. This two are mainly over Chaos. Obviously, GBH isn't a Chaos unit. But the Bullet Club are kind of reigning supreme. And speaking of the Bullet Club, a fair promo considering Jay White doesn't know how to speak English. He knows how to speak English. He is English. He doesn't know how to speak Japanese. But it did perfectly fine. Jay White cuts a promo on Kazuchika Okada and mainly, oddly enough, on Will Ospreay. He said he is hurt that Will Ospreay, a hot prospect who the Bullet Club have personally scouted, they're hurt that he would betray them. Because obviously, in the Naito Jericho show, Will Ospreay was offered the Bullet Club shirt, and he turned it down. He turned his back on the Bullet Club, saying no. So Jay White is kind of ripping into Will Ospreay, and look at what we can do. Jay White was a nobody. Bullet Club made him a somebody. They did the same with Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows. They did the same with Tama Tonga and Bad Luck Fale. They make stars. Obviously, those guys aren't really stars at the moment, but he's getting over a point. Will Ospreay could have been great with the Bullet Club, and he's stupid for turning them down. A little bit of drama going on between all three of these guys. Yeah, Jay White struggled going off script, but even still, he got a 67. Hell of a performance, considering we haven't got denotation. Is that even a word? He didn't get denoted for not speaking native. But yeah, a 67. Well in Jay White. Next up, back to New Japan Cup action and back to the domination of Evil. Evil taking on Hiroki Goto and Evil defeating Hiroki Goto in 18 minutes. I said at the start of the save that I kind of want to build Evil up to be legitimate. And at the same time, I didn't want to fast track him to the title. I didn't want to like force him down people's throats. But since he turned on LIJ in our storyline, obviously he turned on LIJ in Wrestle Kingdom or at Wrestle Kingdom. Having him lose straight away after that would have instantly like discredited him, and fans would have been left thinking, well, what's the point in taking him out of LIJ if he's not winning? So I feel like giving him a good stretch in the New Japan Cup is the way to go. Unfortunately, defeating Goto, I'm a huge Goto fan, so it does suck seeing him lose in the New Japan Cup. But I feel like it's the Goto can shrug off the loss, whereas it would do having Evil lose in this situation would have been a lot worse. So Evil is through to the semi-finals of the New Japan Cup in a fairly good match. Both guys with similar ratings. Evil is slightly worse than Goto. Wrestling rating wasn't great, but the crowd are loving it. A fairly good match. Next up, we have Okada cutting a promo on Will Ospreay. Okada hasn't had, he hasn't had too much issues. He's had issues with Jay White, but his main issue, I feel like having Okada call out Jay White in this situation would have been silly. Okada's pissed. He brought Ospreay into chaos, and he turned his back on him. So he's not a happy bloke. He's kind of pissed off at Will Ospreay. So he kind of we have him cutting. We didn't want to put him in just a throwaway match. They're going to have Okada mainly used for major matchups. We have Okada calling out Will Ospreay, saying that they need to sell the differences. I'm obviously paraphrasing here, but he can't wait to kick Will Ospreay's ass and put the kind of young whippersnapper back in his place. So Okada versus Will Ospreay is confirmed for the Tour's End. Obviously, have night 10 and then the Tour's End. The Tour's End, the two men seen on screen will be locking up. A hell of a match, and a hell of a segment to build up to said match. Okada enjoying the freedom to improvise. We'll need to store that in our brains for later as well. And back to New Japan Cup action to top off the night. Kota Ibushi defeating Shingo Takagi in around 26 minutes. Trying to steal the show, it probably could have done better. The match dragged at the end, and Shingo Takagi was visibly tiring. And we've done it again. This is just stress because I didn't press all out. I pressed slow build. Why? Whatever. I said a couple videos ago, I mentioned just off the cuff as a joke, hey, I'll record myself booking the show to make sure I'm pressing slow build. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that from now on because this is just silly. I'm pressing the slow build button and it's going all out. Silliness. But they still put on a hell of a match in terms of fantastic heat and great wrestling. That's a good match. Only problem was they can't go all out for 26 minutes. Ibushi with the high 70s, Shingo Takagi with the high 60s. Both guys where we need them to be. Both guys showing out for the last match of the night. And our finalists for the New Japan Cup, or our semi-finalists, that is. We have on the left side of the bracket Tomohiro Ishii and Minoru Suzuki, as you've seen in the last section of the video, confirmed last night. And on this side of the bracket, Kota Ibushi versus Evil. And to top off the night, not sure how 61. I wasn't sure how well this segment would do, but we just have kind of a recap video in which highlights all four guys kind of lead ups to the semi-finals. The recapping their tournament so far, recapping their journeys, and just kind of building up to the clash that they're going to have. Evil obviously taking on Ibushi and Suzuki taking on Ishii. And with that, the show is done. Not our best show, I believe. Is that one of our weakest? Definitely not as good as last night. Last night we got was it a 70? So 62 is a was it a 70, or am I just losing my mind? Not the greatest show. The Okada the problem was we didn't have a standout match. If we had Kota Ibushi and Shingo Takagi booked properly, and it was a slow build and not all out, I feel like that could have been our standout match. That could have got maybe a 70 rating and bumped the overall rating up. So our main event definitely let us down, but it didn't even let us down. Both guys performed well. It was my mistake. And it might not have been my mistake. It might have been the game bugging out. We should have had a better night, though. That's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah, it sucks. But a 62 increased popularity in Europe. We we just have to keep going. We're setting up some good things. I feel like the end of the tour is going to kick off. Ishimori, Takahashi, that's in the pipeline. We've got Jay White, Okada, and Will Ospreay all kind of swirling around each other. We've got the New Japan Cup coming to a close. All four guys definitely set up for good things. Even after the tournament, I have plans for all four of them mentioned in that last video. So yeah, tonight's been a bit of a lull, but overall, I'm confident. I'm happy. I know I see my vision playing out, and I hope you guys do too. I hope you're invested in the storylines. I hope you're invested in what we've got going on. But all good things must come to a close. And that is it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope you're doing well. But yeah, that's enough from me. I'll stop waffling. I hope you tune in at the next one, because the next video will be our tour end and the end of the New Japan Cup. So stay tuned. I hope to see you there. And peace.